Narrator, tone, cheerful. During the holiday at home, I was showing off my newly done nails on the sofa. Martha, who had been sitting nearby basking in the sun, suddenly spoke up.
Spending money on this nonsense is such a waste. Back in the day, girls your age would already be married. How can you just laze around at home, living off your parents? You're such a burden.
My good mood was instantly ruined by her words.
Oh, by the way, I've arranged a match for you. The man is about 10 years older than you, but older men are more caring.
So what if I'm living off my parents before I graduate? Besides, my mom and dad are okay with it. If you want to get married and serve someone, go ahead, but leave me out of it. And I don't need a man who's old enough to be my dad.
Narrator, tone, serious. In reality, I was at home preparing for the civil service exam, but I didn't want to explain too much to her.
How dare you talk back? If it weren't for you spending the family's money, all that money would be for my grandson. You're spending my grandson's money.
I was truly astonished by her twisted logic. As the only child in the family, I knew Martha favored boys over girls. She believed that girls couldn't inherit the family estate, so she always thought my parents would leave everything to my uncle's son, her precious grandson.
But this house is in my name, and my parents said all the family assets would be left to me. You're living and eating here, and it has nothing to do with your grandson.
Narrator, tone, serious. Martha was so angry that she was spitting, pacing back and forth in the living room, occasionally pointing at me.
You'll eventually belong to someone else. Why do you need so much money? Only your cousin is our family's bloodline. I've always known you're an ungrateful burden.
Well, my mom got married and belongs to someone else too. Why are you living in our house? Why don't you go live with your son? Should I pack your things and send you there now?
Martha rolled her eyes at me. She might be harsh with her words, but I knew she was afraid of Linda and didn't dare to live with my uncle. Narrator, tone, serious. At that moment, my mom Mary came home and saw the tense atmosphere between Martha and me, knowing we had argued again.
Did you give the property to this girl?
Martha had been living with us for 2 years, often making an issue of me being a girl, and Mary was getting tired of it.
Yes, it's all hers. Is there a problem?
Martha picked up an ornament from the hallway and threw it at Mary's head.
Are you stupid? She's a girl. How can you give her the house? It'll all belong to someone else in the future. Listen to me, transfer it to your nephew. He's the real bloodline of our family.
Narrator, tone, serious. I rushed forward to shield Mary.
How can you hit people? This is our house. My parents can give it to whoever they want. It's none of your business. If you don't like it, go live with your precious grandson.
Mary's face darkened after being hit for no reason.
Mom, everything John and I earn is for Lily. Don't say things like that anymore.
Narrator, tone, serious. It was rare to hear Mary speak so sternly, and Martha's momentum weakened, but she still muttered under her breath.
It's outrageous to give such an expensive house to this girl. Your nephew is still living in that old, shabby place, and he still calls you aunt.
I sighed and shook my head.
Poor Tom, unlike me, who has a wonderful grandmother. This house was bought with my grandmother Grace's money. He's unlucky, no grandmother to buy him a house. What's the use of having a grandmother like that?
Indeed, this house was bought with Grace's money and put in my name. Grace had always loved me and never treated me differently because I was a girl. Narrator, tone, serious. Martha was furious but had nothing to say. After all, her savings had long been given to my uncle's family. Now, besides coveting our house, she had no means to buy her grandson a house. When the written exam results came out, Anna passed smoothly. To help her prepare better for the interview, her parents enrolled her in a 7-day intensive training camp. It cost 49,800 yuan, quite expensive. When Martha learned about the cost, she was heartbroken.
What kind of training class costs so much? If only this money could go to my eldest grandson, what a waste.
By the way, Tom and Anna prepared for the written exam together, but he didn't pass.
Well, it's not like he passed the written exam. Even if he wanted to spend money, there's nowhere to spend it.
Anna shook her head in feigned regret, and John silently gave her a thumbs up. As Anna was packing to leave, her parents received a notice that they had to go on a business trip for a week to visit a supplier. Mary looked at Martha with some concern, not wanting to leave her alone at home.
Go ahead, I'm not that old. I can take care of myself. Just leave me some money.
John readily left her 3,000 yuan for living expenses and then took Mary and Anna out the door. The intensive training days were busy, and Anna could only call her mom every night to let her know she was safe.
You should call Martha too. She might feel lonely at home.
Although Anna was reluctant, she didn't want to make her mom worry, so she called Martha. The phone rang for a long time before she answered, sounding impatient.
What do you want? Don't you know it costs money to make calls? You really don't know how to live.
Martha, where are you? Why is it so noisy?
Her voice immediately rose.
I'm watching TV. I have to go eat now.
She hung up quickly. Anna checked the time, it was 3:50 p.m. Eating at this hour? The more Anna thought about it, the more uneasy she felt, so she called her mom back. After describing the situation, Mary reassured her softly.
It's okay, elderly people might have different routines. Focus on your training, and I'll call Martha later to check on her.
With her reassurance, Anna felt more at ease. The interview ended quickly, and when Anna dragged her luggage home and opened the door, she was stunned by the scene before her. The living room was filled with trash. The ornaments that used to be on the entryway were scattered all over the floor, and the kitchen was piled high with dirty dishes covered in thick grease. There seemed to be white creatures wriggling in the trash can. Anna rushed to her room, and sure enough, her cherished collectibles were ruined, lying haphazardly on the table. These were her treasures that she rarely even touched. Just as Anna was about to call Martha, she heard laughter and chatter outside the door. Seeing Anna back, Martha was surprised and started questioning her.
Why are you back so suddenly?
Anna looked at Robert, Linda, and Tom behind her, who were looking at her indifferently, as if she were the intruder.
This is my home. Do I need to inform you before coming back? But why are you all here?
I asked them to come keep me company. You all left without a care, not worried I might have an accident at home.
Didn't you say just leave you some money? Why are you blaming us now?
Linda, sensing Anna's tone, gave her a sideways glance.
Who do you think you are, talking to us like that? No manners at all!
Linda, this is my home. Even if I'm not in charge, it's not your place to speak. You came uninvited and made a mess of the house. I could call the police.
Hearing this, Martha shrieked.
You ungrateful girl, how dare you call the police? No wonder you can't get married.
Tom pushed Anna aside and walked into her room with his shoes on to play on her computer.
Who let you in here? Get out.
Martha, hearing Anna shout at Tom, rushed in and slapped her.
Why are you yelling? I told him to stay here. Now, get the house deed and transfer the house to Tom.
Your grandmother is right. Transfer the house to your brother. Why does a girl need such a good house? Your brother needs it to get married.
Holding her left cheek, Anna was furious.
If you can't afford a house, don't get married. Since when do beggars demand houses so confidently?
If you can't get married and have children, your family line will end. You'll be the sinner of your family.
Anna found it laughable. Using this to guilt trip her? Let me show you how we deal with outdated thinking.
First of all, Linda, if I were your age and still lazing around while my son lived in a shabby old place, I'd consider myself a failure. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and slap myself. Secondly, if your son needs his family to buy him a house to get married, that's his problem. What is he, an endangered species? Your family's genes don't seem that crucial to preserve.
I looked at Martha.
Lastly, since you want to live with Robert and Linda so much, let me help you pack. You can leave with them later.
Linda quickly waved her hands when she heard I wanted Martha to go with them.
No, our house is too small to accommodate so many people.
Linda, how can you be so disrespectful? She's your mother-in-law. You should be taking care of her.
I was merely returning their insults, yet they all turned red with anger. Martha backed down, knowing she wouldn't have a good life at Linda's place.
I don't really want to live with Robert and Linda. I just miss them and wanted them to visit for a few days.
I picked up the figurine from the floor and said to Tom, who was engrossed in his game.
I'll send you the bill for the figurine. Either compensate me or buy an identical one. Your choice.
Tom finally looked away from the screen.
Compensate? I have no money.
I turned to Linda, who looked disdainful.
It's just a few toys. How much could they be worth? I don't know how your parents raised you, being so petty.
I sent the bill to her phone.
See for yourself.
Linda stared at her phone for a while.
Who are you trying to fool? This broken toy costs this much? You're heartless, cheating your own family. Watch out, you might get struck by lightning.
I bought the figurines through legitimate channels, and I've sent you the bill. If you don't compensate, I'll call the police. If Tom doesn't pay, he'll have a record. I heard he's applying for a government job. Linda, you should know what a record would mean for him.
Linda shivered in fear, glaring at me with gritted teeth.
Fine, Lily, we'll pay. But just you wait, let's see how long you can stay smug.
Linda transferred the money to me, not a penny less. Then she prepared to leave with Robert and Tom.
Wait, are you just going to leave after messing up the house like this?
What do you want?
I sneered.
Either you clean up now, or hire a cleaning service. My place isn't that big, $200 should cover it.
Martha hurriedly stepped forward to pull me back.
You little brat, how dare you ask Linda for money?
Martha, are you going to help them clean?
Martha shivered, looked around, and wisely kept quiet. Linda glared at Martha, then transferred another $200 to me before leaving without looking back. Even when Martha tried to say goodbye, they didn't turn around.
You troublemaker, you'll tear this family apart sooner or later.
Children not getting along is a sign of an elder's lack of virtue. Martha, do you know what that means?
Martha slammed the door and went back to her room, surprisingly strong for her age. The day the civil service exam results were announced, Lily and her parents were glued to the computer, constantly refreshing the web page. Finally, the results were out. Lily ranked first in the comprehensive score.
Oh, Lily, you did it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Mary. It's been a tough journey.
Well done, Lily! I promise to buy you a car of your choice once you start working.
At that moment, Martha, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up.
It's just a job. What's there to be so happy about? Buying her a car? I think girls should get married early and have children.
Lily knew her sarcastic tone was because Tom didn't even make it to the interview stage. Martha couldn't stand seeing Lily succeed.
Yes, it's such a good job that many people can't even pass the exam. Right, Martha?
Lily couldn't help but add a little jab.
Why didn't Tom apply for this job? Is it because he didn't like it?
All right, Lily, there's still the medical examination and the public announcement. We can't be careless. During this time, I'll personally cook for you, so no more ordering takeout.
Thank you, Mary. That sounds wonderful.
Martha probed further.
There's still the medical examination and the public announcement. What if you don't pass the medical exam?
If I don't pass the medical exam, the next person in line will take my place.
Martha nodded thoughtfully. Little did Lily know that her offhand remark would later become a bullet aimed at her. The next morning, Martha said she wanted to visit Robert and Tom. Although Lily and her parents found it strange, they thought it was natural for her to care about her beloved grandson and thought nothing of it. After she left, Lily felt a sense of relief, no longer having someone watching her every move and calling her worthless. Lily even thought it would be great if Martha could stay at Robert's house permanently. But, as always, reality was the opposite of her wishes. Martha returned that evening. She carried several large bags and hurried into her room without saying a word.
Lily, could you call Martha for dinner?
Lily knocked on Martha's door, but there was no response. Thinking she was asleep, she knocked harder. Suddenly, the door opened, and Martha glared at her angrily.
Such bad manners, knocking so loudly. Are you trying to scare me to death?
Lily ignored her and glanced into her room, noticing 2 dolls on the floor with what seemed like birth date information attached to them. Just as she was about to take a closer look, Martha noticed her gaze and quickly shut the door.
What are you looking at? Why did you call me?
Mary asked you to come for dinner.
Got it. You go ahead. I'll tidy up and come out soon.
Once she was sure Lily couldn't see into her room, Martha sneaked back inside. After a while, she finally came out for dinner, looking quite pleased and eating 2 large bowls of rice without picking on Lily. As she sipped her soup, Martha asked,
Lily, when is your medical exam?
It should be in the next couple of days. Why do you ask?
A fleeting smile appeared on Martha's lips before quickly disappearing.
If only Tom could pass the civil service exam. He was always smarter than you as a child, but he didn't do well this time. He is the true heir of our family.
Martha continued to ramble, and Lily and her parents quickly finished their meal and quietly left the table. After dinner, John went to the study to read, and Mary took Lily for a walk, asking Martha if she wanted to join them.
I'm tired. I want to rest in my room.
So they didn't think much of it and left. During the walk, Lily was preoccupied and didn't feel like talking.
Lily, are you thinking about Martha?
Yes, Mom. Why is Martha so biased against girls?
A hint of sadness flashed in Mary's eyes.
Maybe it's because of her limited education. In her time, everyone favored boys over girls, and she was influenced by that environment.
Lily had heard from the older generation that Mary had always excelled in her studies, but the family was poor and could only afford to send one child to school. Martha forced Mary to drop out, despite her pleas to stay in school, even offering to eat less and work part-time. But Martha refused, saying it was pointless for girls to study since they would eventually marry off. From then on, Mary dropped out and worked various jobs to support the family and pay for Robert's education. But Robert was always a troublemaker, never studying seriously, getting into fights, and causing trouble. Mary often took the blame for his messes. However, hardworking people can succeed anywhere. After marrying John, Mary and he started from selling boxed lunches and eventually opened a large restaurant. Meanwhile, Robert's family, lazy and unmotivated, now barely got by with odd jobs. After hearing Mary's story, Lily hugged her tightly.
Lily, you are my pride. You did well in school and got a good job. You fulfilled my dreams.
Her words made Lily feel a bit ashamed. She had always been an average student, yet they always saw her as their pride. Lily vowed to protect Mary and never let Martha or Robert's family bully them again. By the time Lily got home, it was already 9 in the evening. Martha's door was still tightly shut. She must have been really exhausted today. After washing up, Mary brought Lily a glass of milk and placed it on her desk.
Lily, drink your milk and go to bed early.
Okay, thanks, Mom.
Lily picked up the milk and drank it in one go, but tonight it tasted a bit strange.
Mom, did you change the milk? It tastes different from usual.
No, it's the same brand. You have allergies, so I wouldn't change it easily.
Lily nodded. She had been allergic to many types of nuts since she was a child, so she only drank one brand of milk. The different taste might just be her imagination. After finishing the milk, she lay down to sleep.
Not long after, Lily felt a tickle in her throat and started coughing. The discomfort grew stronger. It felt like her throat was being squeezed, and she began to struggle for breath. She opened her mouth wide, trying to gulp in fresh air, but the short, rapid breaths sounded terrifying in the night.
Struggling to turn on the light, she saw that her body was covered in red rashes, swollen like a boiled lobster. She realized she was having an allergic reaction. Stumbling out of her room, she used her last bit of strength to knock on her parents' door. In a daze, she saw John and Mary rush out of their room. Mary held her, crying in fear, while John's hands trembled as he dialed 911. In her last conscious moments, she saw Martha's door open a crack, her face peeking through with a sly smile. When Lily woke up again, she was in the hospital. Mary was by her bedside, and John was talking to the doctor not far away. Seeing her awake, Mary called the doctor excitedly.
She's fine now.
Mary let out a long sigh of relief and hugged Lily tightly.
Mom, why did I suddenly have an allergic reaction?
We don't know. I remember you didn't eat any nuts tonight.
Lily searched her memory and suddenly thought of something.
Mom, could it be the milk? I felt something was off when I drank it. Now that I think about it, I started feeling unwell after drinking that milk.
But I bought that milk from the supermarket. It shouldn't have any problems.
What if someone tampered with it?
Mary was shocked, her eyes wide.
You mean someone put something in your milk?
I nodded. That was the only explanation.
Mary and Lily exchanged glances, neither of them speaking, but they both knew the answer in their hearts. It could only be Martha. After the doctor confirmed Lily was fine, her parents took her home. The house was empty, Martha was nowhere to be seen. Opening the fridge, the remaining milk was still there. Lily poured a glass and sniffed it carefully. It indeed had a faint smell of peanuts. Lily handed the milk to Mary. She tasted it and her face turned grim. Just then, Martha returned. Seeing Lily back, she was visibly startled.
You're out of the hospital already? Are you okay?
She sounded disappointed.
Yes, I'm fine. The doctor said I've recovered.
Martha lowered her eyes, a hint of disappointment flashing in them, and muttered an "oh."
But I didn't plan to let this go easily.
I sighed and shook my head.
Sad, poor Tom, unlike me, who has a wonderful grandmother. This house was bought with my grandmother Grace's money. He's unlucky, no grandmother to buy him a house. What's the use of having a grandmother like that?
Indeed, this house was bought with Grace's money and put in my name. Grace had always loved me and never treated me differently because I was a girl. Martha was furious but had nothing to say. After all, her savings had long been given to my uncle's family. Now, besides coveting our house, she had no means to buy her grandson a house. Sure enough, when Lily checked the surveillance footage, she saw the old lady pulling out 2 dolls from under the bed.
From the footage, it looked like one was a boy doll and the other a girl doll, probably the ones I had seen through the door crack last time.
Martha then took a needle from the drawer and viciously stabbed it into the chest of the girl doll, muttering some incantations.
Ah! Screaming from the sofa.
Hearing the commotion in the living room, Martha tested by stabbing the needle into the doll's chest area again.
Ah! Screaming even louder.
In the video, Martha held the doll in her left hand and the needle in her right, looking extremely pleased with herself. Soon, she walked out of the room, still holding the doll and needle in the same manner.
Little wretch, I knew you were up to no good. Luckily, I went to the shaman and got these 2 dolls. This girl doll represents you. Did your chest hurt twice just now? Let me tell you the truth, it was because of my spell.
I pretended to be terrified, clutching my chest and nodding.
Seeing Lily's reaction, Martha was very satisfied.
The shaman said you stole my grandson's luck. You are a jinx, causing my grandson to lose his job. And yes, I did add peanut powder to the milk you drank before, hoping it would cause you harm.
Martha became angrier as she spoke, stabbing the needle into the doll's abdomen again. This time, Lily stopped pretending and sat seriously on the sofa, watching Martha go mad. Seeing no reaction from Lily, Martha furiously twisted the doll's head, her hands bulging with veins, showing her deep-seated hatred for Lily. Until the doll's head was barely connected to its body by a thin layer of fabric. Lily remained seated on the sofa, unmoved, watching her.
What's going on? Why aren't you reacting? I clearly heard you scream in pain just now.
Lily shook her head and snatched the doll from her hand. Sure enough, her birth date was carved on the doll's body.
Martha, I respect you as an elder, but I never expected you to try to harm me at every turn. What did I ever do to you?
Seeing that Lily had revealed everything, Martha stopped pretending.
Yes, I hate you. Why should a girl like you be better than my grandson? I wanted you to have an allergic reaction and hopefully pass away in the hospital so that my grandson would have a chance.
Indeed, she was ignorant, but Lily no longer wanted to explain anything to her. Her thoughts were deeply ingrained and beyond anyone's ability to change. Seeing that they were ignoring her, Martha collapsed on the floor, continuing her madness.
Why should a girl, a burden, have such a good life? I hate you. I wish I could strangle you. Without you, everything in your family would belong to my son and grandson. They are the true bloodline of our family.
Lily's mother, Mary, was furious and slapped Martha.
You dare to hit me?
Martha, holding her face in disbelief, looked at her.
Yes, I hit you. I hit you for forcing me to drop out of school, for making me clean up after my brother, and for trying to harm my daughter.
Mary cried hysterically, accusing Martha of the misfortunes brought by her preference for boys over girls. Martha was stunned, no longer mad, staring blankly at Mary. They were not saints. After seeing Lily repeatedly harmed, her parents resolutely sent Martha to live with her Uncle Robert. After sending Martha away, their family finally returned to a peaceful life. Every evening, they would take walks together, living a simple yet happy life. John kept his promise and bought Lily a car she loved, making it easier for her to commute to work every day. 6 months later, Robert called, saying that Martha had cancer and didn't have much time left. She wanted to see them one last time. Lily went to see her with her parents. In just 6 months, Martha looked like she had aged 20 years. Her face was pale, her appearance sickly, and she looked like a frail scarecrow held up by bones.
You've come. Please sit.
But every time she moved, a nauseating smell emanated from her, and the exposed bedsheet had turned brown. Martha looked embarrassed, lowering her head, not daring to meet their eyes. Mary sat by the bed, while John and Lily stood behind her, expressionless, watching Martha. Seeing no sympathy from them, Martha's raised hand awkwardly fell.
Lily, I'm dying. Can you forgive me?
Lily continued to look at her, her eyes devoid of any emotion. Although everything had passed, it didn't mean she had forgiven her. That allergic reaction was severe. She failed her first medical examination and only passed on the second attempt. For that exam, she worked tirelessly, waking up earlier than the birds and sleeping later than the dogs, finally passing the written and oral tests. But because of Martha, she almost failed and even nearly lost her life. How could she not have lingering resentment? The small room was silent. Martha closed her eyes and slowly lay down. Tears slowly seeped from the corners of her eyes. Perhaps she was also regretting her past actions. Before leaving, she softly said behind Lily,
Lily, I'm sorry.
They did not look back. Not every mistake has a chance for redemption, does it?